always get to choose in this life, win and lose in this life. But I'ma prove in this life, we can move in this life. Can't change up, my team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year.
Yo, what's up? It's been a minute, but we're back. Episode 5, Diamond State Scouting Podcast. Me and my brothers Josh and Brett. Fellas, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Doing phenomenal. Happy to be here, man. Big things going on in college football. Big things going on in the NFL. But we're here to chat about the upcoming draft. And like I said last episode, unless you're a fan of about 4 or 5 teams, you need to be watching this show because your team is headed to the draft this year. So, how you been, fellas? How's everything going?
I've been good. I mean, I was happy Miami won last night.
Miami finally winning games. That's pretty nice.
Man,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think about them anymore.
I didn't expect Miami to win the game. Like, I'm sure Brett, a fan of Miami, didn't expect Miami to win the game. But even deeper than that, I had Lamar Jackson pegged as my MVP. And as of right now, I can't call him my MVP anymore. I think it's kind of up in the air. We'll see what happens this weekend.
Well, I mean, Miami they win a lot of cover zero, a lot of defensive back blitzes, but they didn't take advantage of the soft middle. And it's like Miami knew they wouldn't. And if they did, one broken tackle, when you're talking big play, they didn't take advantage of it. And they just confused them and just pushed him out of the pocket. I mean, they left him nowhere to go. It was a good defensive game plan, though. But I just think it's just more so the Ravens coming off of a overtime game Sunday. Mm-hmm. They're exhausted. They're beat up. They lost a lot of talent. Miami had a hell of a game plan. They wanted it more. So I think it's just one of those games that a competitor gets hit in the mouth, wakes up, and is like, holy shit, we got to change some things.
That's it.
Yeah. So, sometimes those losses are actually good for a team because those are the ones that leave that sour taste, and they're like, man, remember. So they'll think that from here to the rest of the year, like, remember what Miami did to you. So let's keep adjusting. Let's keep working.
I believe it, brother. I believe it. I feel like it's Miami. It's a short week. Lamar Jackson has roots in Miami. And I really feel like as far as the Baltimore Ravens go, man, they live and die on Lamar Jackson. He really has to be Superman for that team to really thrive. So we'll see what happens. But I really don't know who the favorite is coming out of the AFC anymore. I love Buffalo, but I'm not a believer like I used to be. So,
well, I think Buffalo. It's these offenses are having a hard time because the defenses are responding by going to zone coverage. The Buccaneers went a lot more zone against the Chiefs to slow them down. And, so the zone coverage is really starting to affect offenses. They're not attacking like they used to. So we're just seeing this adjustment period for offenses in the NFL right now. And I think a lot of it's quarterbacks just not seeing it. You see Josh Allen's been struggling against it. Miami did something similar to him, what they did to Jackson. And they slowed him down for about 3.5 quarters before the end of the game when it's finally somebody took over. It was Josh Allen that took over with his legs. So, when you watch those kind of games, man, you just see like when you start seeing like the high caliber quarterbacks start to struggle, then you start to see like, well, it's just the way defenses are attacking right now. And then at the end of the season, you see who actually prevails. But I still like you can't count the Chiefs out. You can never count them out. With Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they barely squeak in the playoffs. They're going to be dangerous. Remember, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls. Were they a wild card both years? In 11 and 07? I think they're a wild card 2007, right?
With that being said, I got to pivot to my good friend Josh with the flex hoodie. That was fly. I'm going to pivot and just speak about I'm sure you want to speak about your Cowboys, but I want to speak about something that Brett just said about the way that the NFL is kind of changing, offenses are changing. It makes me want to ask you a question to kind of lead into our topic for tonight. What is your viewpoint on the prototypical running back of today's NFL?
So I know today's NFL, they want you to be pass catching, agile, just a super explosive running back. But in my opinion, like someone I like I've been watching Zeke for like what 5-6 years now, and I think he's a really good running back. But I just really like someone that contact balance is just unreal, kind of like a who's the running back in Alvin Kamara.
I knew you were gonna say that. I love Alvin Kamara.
But that's something he works on, and then I like the explosiveness. And we're going to talk about a running back today that's like crazy explosive, has contact balance. And another big thing, every time Brett and I watch film together, and I think it was last year we watched running backs, and my big thing is, can you pass block? Because that's going to tell me if you're going to be able to play early on in your career. And I know some people think pass block is not important because really not many running backs know how to do it. It's something you can be taught to do better at the next level. But I really like to see a running back at college just dominate when they're pass blocking, because it just shows me you care about the players around you, really, because you're saving your quarterback if you can take out that blitzing guy. And I love pass blocking running backs.
Exactly. It's important. Go ahead, Brett.
Pass blocking running backs, if you look at around the league, you'll see the running back and man, they drafted Martha Easel. Why did he take 2 years to start?
Yeah,
as a running back. Well, a lot of it is that the pass blocking. A lot of times you start a running back. If you have a bunch of average backs, the one that pass blocks the best is usually the one that gets the most reps. Or depend on what you're doing, depend on your offensive line situation too. But yeah, so it really depends. And sometimes you tip your hand if a running back can't pass block and he's in there. Well, he's catching the ball. So we already know what we're doing. Same thing like with the tight end. That's not a very good blocker. That's more of a receiving threat. It's like, all right, well, they're probably going to throw it. It's probably not going to be a block. He's lined up in line. There's no way he's blocking. So you kind of tip your hand. So that's another reason they like him to be at the pass block, because like, is that running back going out in the route? Is he going to block? Is he going to chip and then go out in the route? What is that running back going to do? So.
And the head coach is going to like you a little better because he knows that you're going to protect his quarterback. The most important person to a head coach on that offense is that quarterback. And if he knows you're going to protect that quarterback, then you're going to get more plays. Easily.
Number one thing, get a coach or GM fired is a quarterback situation.
That's right. That's bottom line. So it makes me think like the days of the Adrian Peterson, Eddie George, bell cow running back that you just give him the ball 20 times a game. It seems like it's kind of going away. More of a split. Like Alvin Kamara is now the prototypical running back, whereas it used to be like the Adrian Peterson, the Emmitt Smith.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if I'd say that or not. I mean, because you look at Derrick Henry, but not many guys are built like Derrick Henry.
It's true.
I mean,
Whoever.
That running style kind of like starts wearing down. Like Eddie George, how many years did Eddie George play? 9?
Mm-hmm. He played for a while.
And then, Ricky Williams retired because of his running style. He came back, changed it up a little bit. So the thing is, the physical backs don't last as long in the NFL because they're taking abuse. They're not shying from contact, and it breaks down their body. So, but one back I think that really comes to mind when you talk about contact balance, pass block ability, 1 foot in the ground, get upfield, one cut runner, see the lane, no hesitation,
shady,
run with good balance. Frank Gore comes to mind.
Okay.
I mean, every time you watch him, I mean, his size, was he 5'9", 215, but like he's compact. He runs with low shoulder pads. You basically have a shoulder pad and thigh board to hit. You don't have anything else to hit with him. And he has fantastic contact balance and strength. He has good vision, catches the ball well, pass blocks well. He's always done all those things well. And he always has worked to get better. But that's the kind of back, and he's been in the league since.
Played in 3 decades, right?
I was going to say that, man.
He's been in the league forever. 2007, 6, something like that.
Played in 2000, played in 2010s, now playing in 2020.
Yeah. No, he's not playing now. He's boxing next month.
I know he played last year, though.
Yeah.
But when you think prototypical running back, when I say a running back can do anything, size I almost ignore to an extent. It's more of what they can do, and that's why you could think of Derrick Henry and Frank Gore in the same breath.
I hate size for every position. I don't care about size, to be honest with you. Like if you can show me that I've said this every time. If you don't show that you're small on film and while you're playing, then it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I think that. I think that you mentioned Derrick Henry for a moment, and it makes me think about Adrian Peterson again. It's funny, Adrian Peterson is replacing Derrick Henry due to the unfortunate injury. But you have one guy, and then there's a bunch of like Mr. Me Too's, where everybody is trying to get a player like that guy. Yeah. And you mentioned Derrick Henry, and really there's only one Derrick Henry guy in the league right now. But when you think of like the Kamaras and the pass catching running backs, there's a bunch of Mr. Me Too's of that guy now. So you're right when you speak about the prototypical running back evolving and the offense evolving. So what we're going to try to delve into today is some of the prospects. But now what I'm thinking about for my team is I want the prototypical running back that can catch out of the backfield, but he's also going to keep my quarterback upright.
Yep. Yeah. That's every coach's dream.
Right.
It really is.
Right. So we got a few guys we're going to get into today. I'm going to start with Kennedy Brooks.
Yes.
You guys think about Kennedy Brooks?
I like Kennedy Brooks. I watched him. I think he was a opt-out last year, if I'm correct. He's a Senior Bowl watch list guy. 5'11", 214, 4-star. He has a good frame. He looks like an NFL running back. He looks taller than what he is. He body frame, and it just might be. I do it every time, and
he plays taller than what he is.
Yeah, and I look at him, and I'm like, okay, there's DeMarco Murray, but I'm like, is it just because he's in an Oklahoma jersey? But he has good contact balance. Works well around with trash around him. He works good in space. He has good cutting ability, which he kind of turns into a hop step sometimes, but it works for him. He also has these he's not the most agile runner, but he has these slight cuts that allow him to get away from tackles and from defenders, leaving them diving at his feet. But like I say, he's not the most athletic or agile. He doesn't have the best long speed. But he doesn't have problems getting 10, 15 yards of carry at the same time. He's a good runner. And I think the Oklahoma offensive style is hurting him a little bit because I think he's that type of runner that if you keep going with him, he's going to get better with each carry. So I'd like to see him in a pro-style offense. And I in my head, I just kept saying I'd like to see him in North Carolina's offense.
Wow. And also when you think about I'm gonna come right to you, Brett. When you think about it, they went through a quarterback change. That has to have something to do with his performance this year, switching from Rattler to Caleb Williams.
Oh, for sure. Whenever your quarterback comes in and raises the level of play compared to the quarterback previously, everything opens up. When that quarterback was doing better, throwing the ball better, running better, it creates more running lane. So. Caleb Williams, as you can see, is an athlete and can run. The defenses can cue on him a little more, opening up one less defender in the box for Brooks. And the one thing I noticed about Brooks is he has pretty good vision. He gets downhill fast. He one step was what I said before, one cut runner. He wants to get downhill fast. He doesn't want to dance. He doesn't want to cut. My biggest problem with him is he's a tall runner. So he gives you a lot to hit. He has had a shoulder injury. But he's explosive though for his size. He's not going to beat you. I'm not thinking he's like a 4.3 guy or 4.4 guy, but he can break it open into the field. And can't talk tonight, man. He can break open big runs. And the one thing, I think he's a sneaky good receiver. I think that's how I would describe him as a receiver, because he kind of looks stiff as a receiver sometimes. He's not going to line up out wide or anything.
Yeah, he's not. He looks stiff anyway because, like I say, he's not the most agile. He's not the most athletic guy, but
that DeMarco Murray comparison was pretty good though.
I hate doing it because every time I look at a player, I'm like, okay, that's DeMarco Murray, and then I started watching your guy. It was at Breece Hall, and I was like, oh my God, this could be Marshall Faulk. And I'm like, look at him, number 28.
No, when you ignore the Oklahoma the uniform. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're trying not to scout the helmet, you're trying to scout the player. But yeah, he does remind you of DeMarco Murray. That's just coincidental.
Solid. I like that. I like the comparison. We're gonna go into another running back, somebody who I think will be playing in the CFP, at least in the semifinal, CJ Verdell with Oregon.
Ooh, one of my favorites.
Yeah, let's hear what you got to say about that, Brett.
So I was a fan of CJ Verdell last year. I was actually hoping he'd come out last year. I was a fan of him before that too, but he started as a receiver. So this kid can catch the football. You can line him up out wide. He's shorter in stature, but he's tough. He's got very good contact balance. And man, is he fast. So explosive. When he gets in the field, he put a hurting on Ohio State defense.
Right.
And he can even return the ball. I mean, you can find ways to get him the ball. And, you talked about touches earlier. I wanted to save it for CJ Verdell in particular. When you're talking about Alvin Kamara being a prototypical back and then Derrick Henry being a prototypical back, when we talk about touches aren't just handoffs either. So, Derrick Henry might get his touches mainly by handing it off. He might get the ball 30 times a game, 25 rushes, 5 catches.
Right.
But CJ Verdell, you can get him 30 touches. You know what I mean? Like, you can line him up as a receiver, as a running back, and he's going to create mismatch problems. I mean, he is explosive. I love watching his game. He's a really fun back to scout. And, watching him with Justin Herbert a couple years ago, he was a weapon. Herbert loved to throw him the ball. And then you do a little research, find out he was a receiver at first, and then he moved the running back. So that kind of versatility you really love. I don't know that he's going to be a main back, but I think he's going to be a dynamic playmaker in the NFL.
Just to jump, I don't think you're going to see a main back anymore. This is my opinion. I'm gonna throw it over to Josh, but I don't think the days of having a main back might be going away, where you have more of a thunder and lightning effect, where you got 2 running backs that are your guys. That's what they're doing in Dallas, which I'm pass over to Josh now. What do you think?
I think Dallas is very, very good. Oh, you want my opinion on CJ?
You can actually say that with a straight face this year.
Yeah, right. So CJ, another Senior Bowl watch list guy, senior. He's built like a bowling ball. I don't think he's the most powerful guy. I know Brett, I don't know if you said that earlier, but I don't think he plays with the power that you see in his frame. But I do think he works very well in space. Goes down a little easier than you'd like him to on contact. Isn't much of like a north-south guy between the tackles runner, no. But and he doesn't like playing around the trash, which will come with not wanting to run between the tackles. But he works better off the edge. He isn't asked to pass rush or a pass block much, but when you see it, he gets in the way, does his job, but he's not like that physical demanding player when he's blocking. He's a very good receiver out of the backfield. Used to be a receiver, but gets yards after the catch. And I mean, I think he is that Alvin Kamara kind of guy. But he doesn't have, I don't know. He's not built like Alvin Kamara, but he's got that play style. But I also think Alvin Kamara is a better between the tackles guy. But we mentioned it earlier where everyone's trying to get that one guy that is Alvin Kamara. And I think that's what you're going to see. A lot of people are going to give him that Alvin Kamara label, and people are going to try and swoop in and try and get them what they have.
So what year did you watch it?
So I watched some this year film, and I watched a little 2019, I believe, and I think the 2019 film, they didn't really use him a lot as a runner.
He was used as a weapon decoy. He wasn't really used as he didn't have a position in 2019.
Yeah.
He was transitioning to running back, so they were just kind of slowly using him. But now, Mario Cristobal's offense, not a huge fan of it.
No.
Justin Herbert's talent. A lot of people were low on Herbert because of that offense. So sometimes you got to dig through the trash to kind of see it. But it's oh man, kind of reminds you of Greg Schiano style offense. He just wants to punch you in the mouth. Yeah, he wants to get physical at the line of scrimmage. But see, Verdell has his moments where like he'll explode up the middle, but if the lane is not clear to him, he'll try to bounce it, which is typical for guys with his speed. They like the edges. They like to get outside. And, you know, these NFL offenses starting to get left to right now, starting to get more horizontal. It's going to be not as bad as it used to be. Like we used to like cuss guys like Reggie Bush that wanted to get the edge all the time. Now offenses are kind of tailoring to where running backs are allowed to do that. So I want to see what I do agree with Josh. I want to see him run in the middle more. I do want to see him play around the trash more. I do want to see him play, you know, with a little more power. But I think a lot of it is to his balance is good.
Yeah.
But it's more in the open field.
It's not where you want to see it as a squatty guy that he is.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see that contact balance be a little better because he is. I mean, that's with anything. The lower you are to the ground, the better your balance should be.
Right.
But you don't see that with him as you do with these other running backs. And he goes down a little too much with arm tackles and just straight up contact.
So this begs the question with us talking about Alvin Kamara and C.J. Verdell. Is C.J. Verdell a day one kind of guy? Is he a round one pick?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a day two.
A day two, maybe early day three guy.
I don't see him going past the fourth round.
Fourth round is fourth. Fourth round is day three.
Right.
Yeah.
I think third round, the fourth round is right where he sits.
So before I jump into this next guy, I'm just going to throw this question out there real quick because I'm curious, especially with the way that we're talking about the game changing as far as running backs. Is there a day one running back in this draft?
Yes. I think so, yeah.
I have a guess on who that is. I think that he's coming up.
Okay, maybe. I want to see what Adrian thinks.
I think I know who the guy is.
Let's go.
All right. But it's not this guy coming up. But still, we're going to talk about him. Brian Robinson Jr.
Oh, yeah. I love Brian Robinson Jr. Like, he's everything that I've told you I like in a running back. He has that. He's a powerful runner. He has speed to the outside, has consistent contact balance, struggles to get past the third level, though. I don't get it. He's very powerful, but then he gets up to the third level, which is safeties and corners, and he gets tackled very easily, and I don't get that. But he shows good enough hands.
Important.
But where he makes his money all the way is his pass blocking ability. That man will lay someone out. He is an absolute beast when it comes to pass blocking. I think I put in my notes that he is going to be a head coach's best friend. And he recognizes blitzers, and he's a very intelligent player. There's a play I watched where he was supposed to stay in and block, and he got the guy, the quarterback ran out, Bryce Young, and then he saw he was under pressure, so he real quick went out into the flats, and Bryce Young threw it to him, and he got 5 yards. And you could tell that wasn't his designated job, but he recognized and went out and made that play. But he's not what we're used to seeing at Alabama. He's not that guy. He's not leaping over guys, but he's a very good runner. He's in the NFL. I can guarantee you he'll get 4 yards a carry, 4 to 4.5 yards a carry, and that's very good.
Yeah, let's say. What do you think, Brett?
I think, like Josh said, he's not your prototypical Alabama back. He's not what you're used to. Najee Harris, I think, set the bar kind of high for the recent backs.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that he's very average as an athlete, making defenders miss. He's good contact balance, good strength, good play strength. Plays a good pad level. Vision seems to be pretty good, but then again, Alabama, it's hard to say because they do open up a lot of run lanes the way their offense is catered. But yeah, he's not a very reliable receiver, which is a shame because I could teach a guy how to pass block easier than I could teach him how to be a reliable receiver. If it's hands, it's hard to teach hands. He's got to put the work in to catch the football.
I mean, Travis Etienne got drafted because he had great hands, right?
Well, I mean,
That's what the NFL's saying. I don't know.
I mean, he had a whole season full of drops and questionable hands, and maybe it was him thinking too much. Maybe he hits the jugs like Terrell Owens did.
Yeah.
No.
Alligator arms.
But I mean, he's got it though. I mean, he's got like Josh said, he's got that just.
He's a complete back. He can catch out of the backfield. He's not his best asset, but
No, he's not going to be a receiving threat. But I mean, he can catch the ball. I think, for me, I think he can be at worst middle of the road kind of back. I think he can be like a solid contributor. You know, at best, I don't know if he's ever going to be like an all pro, but I think he projects as like just a good, reliable back, and that's more valuable than people want to admit.
So valuable. Najee Davenport.
he can be like he can be not saying the type of player that James White is, but he can have a James White like career.
There's so many running backs that you look at on a team, LeGarrette Blount, that are not superstar running backs, but you want them on your team because they're glue guys, man, to just get it done. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it. You know? He reminds me more of the TJ Yeldon tier from Alabama, the Kenyon Drake tier. You know what I mean? Where he's not. I'd say
I don't know
better than those guys.
Yeah.
So Kenyon Drake was basically a receiver.
Yeah.
Like TJ Yeldon was just a serviceable back, but so he's not quite there. But I definitely don't put him in the Najee Harris tier. Maybe the Harris tier. No. You know, so he's a.
Who's in the Najee Harris tier from Alabama? That's a good. Wow. That's a
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. The guy that just got traded to New Orleans. Mark Ingram.
Yeah. I don't think Mark Ingram is.
I don't know. Mark Ingram was very good.
Well, if we're talking
as a
prospect,
college,
as a college back, then yes, but then you're also putting Trent Richardson in there, and then we start going down a slippery slope. Because Trent Richardson was a hell of a college back, but not so much an NFL back.
Not at all. It's a different game. So leading into now, this guy, this is my shot. I'm shooting my shot. I think this is the number one day one
Here
guy.
Let's go.
Class.
Turning my hat around for this one.
Iowa State's Breece Hall.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
That's the guy.
I was expecting you to say Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker?
Yeah.
I have Breece Hall, and then I have Isaiah Spiller as my possible day one guys.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I text you guys. I wanted to talk about Isaiah Spiller.
Let's hear what you have to say, Brett, about Breece Hall.
The complete package. He looks like I haven't felt the same way about a back like this since Jonathan Taylor, which has only been a couple of years. But I mean,
doesn't that suck?
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't felt this great since it was like 2 years ago.
But I mean, like the same way I felt watching Jonathan Taylor is the way I felt watching Breece Hall. Like as soon as someone said to watch him, I'm like, hey, this dude looks like he belongs in the NFL. Oh, he's a freshman? Holy hell. He's not supposed to. He looked like an NFL running back as a freshman. Yeah. I mean, we're not talking Adrian Peterson like yoked up status, but I mean, he's built like your prototypical running back. And kind of like David Montgomery, build wise. But he's got the power. He's got the balance. He's got the vision. Catches the ball well. Definitely, he finds the lanes. He doesn't need much of a lane. He's able to make defenders miss in the box, which is nice. He presses the line of scrimmage and makes his cut to the hole. So what that does is that forces linebackers to start drifting the opposite direction he wants to run. He does a very good job of doing that. And he's able to shed tacklers. Probably the best in this class, he sheds blocks. But goal line back, it's almost always guaranteed he's getting in.
Yeah.
And he's got the athletic ability too. He's not just like a power back. He's athletic. He's a natural receiver. His hands look natural. The pass blocker, he's solid as a pass blocker. Technique needs work, but I mean, just about everybody in college, I'm going to say technique needs work.
Yeah.
You
stand out when.
So that's something that we have to keep an eye on with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you stand out if you're a very good pass blocker in college.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's more so.
What I said earlier, Brett.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Doc.
No, I was just
wanted to
saying.
jump in and say, go ahead.
You go. I'm done. You go.
All right, I'm gonna say this real quick. I want to just emphasize what Brett said earlier. Brett said some skills can be taught. So what we want to see from you as a college running back coming into our pro team is an ability to pick up the blitz, pick up the guy that's going to come and get my $1 million quarterback, keep him off of his back. The other things we can teach, but we want to know your mind, your mental makeup as far as a running back. If you see the field, if you see the plays, you mentioned the player earlier that saw Bryce Young in a situation where the best move would have been to get out on the flats to catch the quick out. So I just wanted to emphasize that. I thought it was a good point, Brett, that you gave Brett, and I'll pass off to you, Josh.
It's also because we're basically going down the same line, but it's also want to. You see what running back is not afraid to get in there and do the dirty work, and who's just like, whatever, I'll get in your way, kind of guy. But
Ricky Waters.
So I turned on Breece Hall. I've only watched like 2 games of his since Brett brought his name up, and
that's all you need.
Yeah. I just wrote one word things about him, like five words about him: explosive, patient, home run speed, superstar, and powerful. The guy is patient like Le'Veon Bell behind the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. He waits to see where it opens up. And while I was watching, I heard the commentator say, some people just don't see it, they feel it. And you get the feeling that Breece Hall just feels it. And he is so explosive getting through that. Once he sees it, he's off. He's unreal. It's something special. If anyone has not watched Breece Hall play, please go out there, put in Breece Hall verse 2021 into YouTube and watch this guy, because he is a very good running back. And he is what the NFL is going to be very excited to watch.
Yeah, he's going to be a first-round pick. I don't know about what point of the first round, but somebody's going to take him in the first round.
Yeah.
And if not, he's going to be very, very early second round. Like first.
I can't see him coming. I can't see him.
The only way he falls is because of the injury, which happened in September. So, that means he should be back. This is an Achilles, so he should be back.
Let's get him in Miami.
I would love it. We need it back, man. I would love to have Breece Hall Miami.
Speaking of injury, speaking of coming off injury, I want to lead into a guy that we talked about on episode 1. You guys were pretty high on this guy, but he was coming off an injury out of Minnesota, Mo Ibrahim.
Yeah, I like Mo Ibrahim. I think he's a very powerful runner. He is I'm trying to figure the words to explain, because he's not the most athletic player. He kind of just gets what you're giving him. And yeah, he's powerful, so he'll take some from you, but he's more of an inside runner. He can run outside, but he doesn't have speed. I want to say, and every time I watch him, I come to this conclusion: he's very similar to James Conner. He might not have James Conner's body frame, but he's very similar to a James Conner runner. And he can be a very good running back in this league, but he's not going to go out there and create too much for you. He's just basically going to get the 3-4 yards that he is able to. He's not going to do anything extra.
Okay. All right.
See, it's funny. We kind of mentioned Mark Ingram earlier. I can kind of see him as that kind of back in the NFL. He's going to be a tough runner, tough between the tackles. He's going to break some tackles. He's not going to get much past the second level. I mean, he's definitely going to be a hammer. It's not going to be easy to bring down. But, it's
hard to explain him.
Yeah. I had a comparison for him, and I can't think of it now. I'll have to come back to it. But
how do you? Well, and while you're thinking, Brett, I'll ask you. Josh said James Conner. How do you feel about James Conner as a comparison?
Stylistically, as far as I need to run up the middle, and that makes a lot of sense. I could see that too. But he just, and there's nothing wrong with him as a prospect, but but projecting him in the NFL, I probably put him in the category just like one of those guys. I don't know that he's going to be a good receiver. I guess Mike Davis. That's who I was thinking of. Kind of
Okay.
like that style back, like a bowling ball, tough to bring down, but not like a overly explosive. Probably won't be your every down back, but he's going to be a part of the rotation, and especially a physical offense is going to want to run the ball. He fits that mold pretty well.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So you're thinking like a late? He sounds like a third, fourth round guy.
Yeah, he might go even later than that because of the
I'd say
injury.
later. Yeah.
The injury, he's hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
All right,
he's
so
the
let's
kind
get
of guy.
into Kenneth Walker.
Before that, I think he's the kind of guy that you can tell that he is gonna. It's just so hard to explain this guy. I don't. It sounds like we're down on him, which I like him as a runner. He's like I mentioned before, that want to from a player. He has that want to, and he tries
he's
to
a leader. He's a captain.
Yeah, and he tries to he has a demoralizing running style, and I like him. It's just the more you watch of him, you're like, okay, well, maybe he doesn't have the speed to catch the edge in the NFL.
Okay.
He's just not super athletic, which can hurt him at the next level. And I don't know. I just don't want to overly trash the guy like I feel like we have, but he's a good runner. I
want to tell you, like, I just turned on a little bit of film up against Ohio State here, and you just see him just kind of break a tackle. And,
he's north-south runner.
Yeah. And you can kind of, he's kind of got a build like Frank Gore. Nowhere near the receivers, Frank Gore, but he's a tough runner. And I think he's going to be the kind of guy that teams like a lot and like to use a lot. So he's not going to be a guy that it's like, we're not going to use him. But I think he's definitely going to be somebody that teams want, but he definitely won't be a high pick. I think it'll be day 3. And I think he's the kind of guy that if you want your physical runner, if you're looking for that physical push to pile kind of runner, I think he could be it.
I like
he's
he sounds like an old school running back.
Yeah, but he's compact. So he's not like if you look at him, he's thick all the way through.
Yeah.
So linebackers are going to have to bring the wood to tackle him. The arm tackle is not going to bring him down either. So yeah, but when he runs, he's tight. Like his arm, like the ball's tight into his body. You're probably not even going to force him to fumble. To be honest.
Yeah.
I'm interested in you guys talked about him on episode 1, so I'm interested in what happens with this guy. I know he's coming off the injury. Sounds like an old school guy. Sounds like the kind of guy that the linebackers you got like, man, I don't feel like having to deal with him today. So he sounds like he has an NFL career ahead of him, but it's going to be a steep climb to prove that he's that guy. So
I'd like to
it'll
see
be
a cold weather team get him. I mean, look at AJ Dillon in Green Bay. That style runner. That's the kind of style runner he is. He's shorter, but that's what he's built like a brick shit house. Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like a northern team, like a Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, that could work.
Cincinnati.
But I mean, don't get me wrong though. If he went to a certain style, like I don't know, if he went to a certain system, I think he could be really good at the same time. That wouldn't surprise me if he turned out to be a productive back either.
It's going to be fun to see him. Let's get rid of all these running backs in Detroit and have him go to Detroit and just be in that Dan Campbell, I'm going to bite kneecaps off, like destroy your will. And I would love to see him there. Really.
No, I like that. I mean, he anybody that wants to get physical, he fits that offense. And there's still teams that like to do that.
Definitely. Speaking of Dan Campbell, he wants to do that. I hope he gets more time to kind of get the way he wants to play football going in Detroit. He needs some more time. All right, getting into Kenneth Walker. What do you guys' thoughts on Kenneth Walker?
Let's see. What do you got, Brett?
Well, he's having himself a good season so far. I mean, he kind of opened up people's eyes this year.
Heisman favorite.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody was saying Kenneth Walker for Heisman before this year either. So I think he's a good back. He's fun to watch for sure. He's playing with some, like he's got something to prove. Like he's got a chip on his shoulder. Last year he rushed for 579 yards on 119 carries. This year on 197 carries, he's rushed for 1,330 yards in only one more game. So his production just shot through the roof. It went from 13 touchdowns.
Go Dogs.
But I mean, look at this. He had 13 touchdowns last year. And
Yeah.
now he's got 15. So, that transfer to Michigan State's really worked out well for him, going from Wake Forest to Michigan State. He's listed as 5'10", 210. I don't know if he's that size or not, but, I mean, he's got my attention. He was not high on my radar before this year. He cuts well, gets downhill in a hurry, and he's explosive. He runs angry. He kind of reminds me of Thomas Jones. You guys remember him? Played for the Bears.
Yeah.
His brother,
Julius.
Stop. Don't say that name.
Yeah. He reminds me of Thomas Jones with his style, like his angry running. I forgot who coined that from NFL Network. He said Thomas Jones runs angry. And until this day.
I'm a fan of Thomas Jones.
Yeah, and that's what he reminds. He does run angry, like he has something to prove.
Yeah,
and I like watching him. He is fun to watch.
Yeah, I like him too. It's just he has home run ability, but I feel like he has too many plays that are stopped at the line of scrimmage, and I don't know what it is. It could just be blocking. There's nothing open there for him. I've only watched one game of his partially. Going into it,
he doesn't have great vision.
Yeah,
at least I don't think.
Yeah, I'd have to watch a little more of him, but from what I saw, he definitely has a home run ability. He has the speed. He has the athletic ability. I didn't get to see enough to say if he has good contact balance or not. And vision, the big thing is going to be the vision and the contact balance. You can have all the home run speed you want, but if you're Reggie Bush, you're just going to be a backup in the NFL.
Or if you're Trent Richardson, you can't see anything. You run to the back of the lineman with a truck hole next to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like you said. If you can't see it or feel it, then it's you're not going to be successful.
So it sounds like he has the ability to be a big name guy in the NFL, but just like some of the other guys, he has some work to do.
Man, they all do. I think he's got the passion for it, the drive for it. And the one thing, I haven't seen him much as a pass blocker, but one thing about pass blocking too, when Josh says want to, that goes off the field too. So you have to be in the film room to know what defenses are attacking you, how they're attacking you, know when they show you looks. Because there's a rule, big on big. So a running back's job is to take the safeties, DBs, even sometimes linebackers. So, the running back's job is always to take the smaller guy, the blitzing guy.
No.
So, when you're talking defensive lineman, it's not often, or smaller guys blitzing, it's not often offensive lineman has to do it. So, a running back needs to know when it's his job. So, that goes for all the backs we talked about as far as that goes. So, they're all going to have to work on that. They're all going to have to work on their technique. But, like Breece Hall, it seems to be one of the better ones, but Brian Robinson is probably like day one pass blocker. And that's
he's fun.
I think I commented that with Damon Parsons.
Yeah.
Talking about it. I had said I think that's what's going to get him reps early in his career because he's going to be able to come in and get pass block. And that's what I'm saying. That will keep a guy on the team for a long period of time as he's consistently productive, can pass block and do his job, then he can be on a team for a long time. Like you said, James White kind of he got his role. He's just going to.
You'll be a coach favorite. Like I feel like James White is always like the head coach's favorite guy. Like you can depend on him, very reliable. Yep. You know what you're going to get out of him. And I think Brian Robinson is that kind of guy where you definitely know you're going to get out of him. He's going to protect that quarterback because he is going to lay the wood to whoever is coming to him.
And as a running back in the NFL, you don't have to be an elite top dog to stay on the team for years. You just have to be consistent and do your job.
And I also want to say Brian Robinson seems to have the worst offensive line at Alabama that any of the Alabama running backs have ever had because they are not opening up very big holes for this guy.
Well, the Alabama offensive line is
I know. I always complain about him. I complain about Alabama's offensive line every year when I evaluate.
It's overstated. I'll tell you that. I mean, Jedrick Wills was probably their best one they've had.
Yeah.
Best offensive tackle they've had in a long time.
Okay.
You know one name I want to throw out? I
What's
watched
that?
him
When did you
a
got?
couple weeks ago. Tyler Algier from BYU. That dude.
Oh, I've been watching BYU this season. Yeah, I like that guy.
He is a load.
Is he going to the draft?
He's draft eligible this year. He is a big dude. You still want to talk about productive? Let me bring up his numbers real quick.
Well, we also have Eric saying no love for you mentioned him earlier, Brett.
Yeah.
While we were
Bijan Robinson, but he's not draft eligible yet. I think he's is he a redshirt freshman or a freshman?
I'm not sure. Have you seen the Syracuse running back?
I haven't got to watch him yet.
That man is blowing up. Sean Tucker. He is looking good.
Him, and I've not got to turn his tape on. The Kentucky running back I was told to watch. Ulysses Bentley from SMU. Letty Brown from West Virginia. I still got to watch those guys.
I got another SMU guy. Trey Sigger.
Yeah, he's the lead back, I think.
Yeah, I think he doesn't have the home run speed, but he's a good back. I think he could be a late round guy that turns out to be something kind of like an Alfred Morris kind of guy.
I'm thinking of NC State running back situation, but yes,
Okay.
Bentley's the main back. So here we go with Tyler Algier. 150 carries this year, 1,130 yards and 13 touchdowns. Oh, sorry, that was last year. This year, 203 carries already, which is already scary. 1167, 17 touchdowns. This dude, the worst part is he's already had over 300 carries in 2 years. And then, but he wasn't he had 9 carries and 17 carries, but he is just, he's fun to watch. I forgot which game I was watching him. But man, he started as a linebacker and then moved to running back. So he's was that Gerald Freeman that played for the Colts? He was undrafted. I think he played maybe the CFL, and then the Colts had him. He was a running back and then turned linebacker.
Yeah.
This is kind of the opposite. But he's a bowling ball too. He might. I don't even have a comparison for him. But I just see him going like a team like the Steelers.
Hold on, who did you just say? Like who are you talking about?
Tyler Algier.
Tyler Algier, BYU.
From BYU.
I just heard about a guy being a linebacker turned running back, and he is just. It could be that guy. I don't know the name. I just remember hearing that exact same thing, like yesterday. You
could tell he's raw as a running back. He still has like a lot of work to do in like every area, but he's a good back. From everything I watched him, he looks like a natural runner, a strong runner. He can break away. He definitely has the contact balance and the strength to break tackles in the open field. Like no arm tackles are not bringing him down.
This guy like lay the hammer like almost every time. Yeah, I think that's the same guy I saw.
Yeah,
I don't know his name, but this guy I watched just lays the hammer like he was a linebacker.
He had 266 yards against Virginia, 218 against Utah State. I mean, he's averaging almost 6 yards a carry too, at 203 carries. Which is a lot.
That's a lot. You wonder how durable he is. He's playing that hard in college. How it's going to translate to his game in the NFL.
He's only missed one game, and that was against San Diego State last year. Other than that, I mean, he didn't play a lot his freshman year. But he was a linebacker, but yeah, he didn't. He only missed one game. So I mean, durability becomes a concern. We had that concern with Jonathan Taylor. But he's a back. I don't know. I was just watching the game. Wasn't even scouting nobody. I was watching it, and he kept popping out. I was like, man, this kid's good. Like he's like, who is this guy? So I had to look him up. The next thing you know, I'm like digging into his game. And so when we talk about this, I kind of wanted to go off the cuff a little bit and mention him.
No.
I still got to do more work, like all 22 on him, but the more I've watched of him, the more I've liked. So I can't wait to dig in more to it. I think he's going to climb up the running back boards. I think a lot of NFL teams will too.
Start paying more attention.
Mm-hmm.
So Are there any other running backs? I mean, it sounds like this is going to be this is the first time I feel like we have it to be continued as far as running backs.
Running backs and defense in this draft. It's
Okay.
deep.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of running backs in this draft. I think day 2 and day 3 might be heavy on backs.
Yeah, seems like there's a lot. And I mean, that makes sense because when you think about running backs, especially for the fantasy football heads out there, as soon as a guy goes down, the first thing people are doing is looking to see who his backup is and who that guy's backup is.
Right.
It goes on and on and on. So
When Dalvin
I'm sure
Cook
we'll be
stuff
coming
came
back
out,
with
people
more
were
running
looking at
backs.
his-
And we haven't talked Dalvin Cook's brothers potentially in this draft. James Cook.
Yeah.
You got Samir White. You got
White
running
I like
back.
too.
Yeah. I'm more of a James Cook guy, but I do like Samir White as well.
I'm staying away from the Dalvin Cook stuff on the DSS
We're
podcast.
talking about his brother.
Yeah.
We're talking about his brother.
Yeah, we're talking about James Cook. Yeah,
James Cook.
he's in there. I love James Cook. I think he's a very all-around back. He's very explosive. He can catch out of the backfield. I think he's going to have a spot in the NFL for sure, if maybe beginning a backup, but I think he needs to get more carries in Georgia, and he's the kind of back, again, that gets going as he gets more carries. And I think Zamir White's the exact same way.
I think he might be the change of pace kind of back in the NFL. That's a bad way to say it because that makes it sound like he's not going to get a lot of touches. That's not what I mean, but I think he's going to be like that lightning to the thunder kind of thing.
Man, I think that people start to think that a lot about Georgia running backs because they are a three-headed, four-headed by committee. But I really think James Cook, with more touches, he's going to be something special. He just doesn't get very good opportunities in Georgia.
He's built like his brother, too.
Yeah.
He just needs I think he needs the system is what he needs.
Yeah. I don't like the way Georgia uses their running back.
No, it's a weird way they use it.
They have so many, and just thinking about how many guys they had years ago. They're spread all over the NFL. There's a guy that plays in New England right now that I watch at Georgia, I believe.
This is the Rams now. Talking about Sony Michel.
Yeah, Sony Michel.
Yeah,
he's with the Rams.
Yeah, he's with the Rams now.
With the Lions.
Yep. They're all over the place.
Well, fellas, we're all over the place. We're all over the place as far as Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Look us up.
Yes.
You can find us. That's episode 5 of the Diamond State Scouting Podcast. We're definitely going to come back with more running backs. So if you're listening and there's somebody we didn't mention, or there's somebody that you're questioning, where would this guy go, or who would be the best fit for my team as far as a running back or any position, hit us up. We're on Twitter. You got our information right there. Josh Wingate 302, Brett Legas 67, and myself, Dean Branch, on Twitter. Hit us
We're
up.
also part of the Say It Again Network. I want to say they're
Absolutely.
So check them out to check us out.
Check them out to check us out. Couldn't say it better myself.
Right.
Brothers, anything else before we wrap?
I think we're good.
That's it.
All right.
Can't wait to get more work done.
I'm excited. Appreciate you guys.
Another one in the books, fellas. Let's do it. Let's do it again.